Okay, so I'm going to uh, quickly walk you through um, a data table that I did when I did the endothermic and exothermic reactions uh, lab. And I recorded data for the first reaction, which was citric acid and baking soda or sodium bicarbonate. And the second reaction was magnesium with 15 milliliters of 1.5 molar hydrochloric acid. And then part three was the same amount of magnesium with the same volume, 15 milliliters, except with the concentration of the acid was 3.0 molar. So I put my samples in around 20 seconds uh, into the, once I had started the data collection. And then I went through here just to highlight my minimum and maximum temperatures. And, I just highlighted them yellow so I could see them really easily. And that would make it real easy for me to let Microsoft Excel calculate the change in temperature. So this first part, remember, change in temperature is the final temperature minus the initial temperature. So if I click in that cell for the first reaction and I type in equals, and the final temperature was here at 150 seconds, is 3.85 degrees Celsius, minus the initial temperature. So I put minus and click on my other temperature, and that gives me my delta T for that reaction. So the temperature of the surroundings is what you were measuring. Heat was lost from the surroundings and went into that bond breaking and reforming process, required some thermal energy. So we had a endothermic reaction. And then the second reaction, type in an equals my final minus the initial, which was there. And again, just making sure that all my values have the same number of decimal places as my data measurements, my measurements had. So here equals final minus initial. So now I have calculated the change in temperature for the for each reaction, and that's kind of what I wanted you to do as far as finishing your data table. Once you put all your data, all your temperature measurements in there for each corresponding time measurement, calculate delta T, and then the second part is to graphically analyze the exothermic and endothermic, and then the two exothermic together. So I'm going to show you how to do that just in Excel. First thing is I would click on select some data. So select your data for this part here in the middle, because I want you to compare part 2 with part 1, and then I want you to compare part 2 with part 3. So that's where we're going to start. Then I want the data that's highlighted from time 0 to 200 seconds and the temperatures that go along with it. And then I'm going to click on insert, and I'll just do a scatter plot, and I'll pick the second one and I'll let it have some lines on it just for now. Then you're going to compare one reaction with another reaction. So this part here, just click in the middle somewhere, right click, and go to select data. When you do that, you'll get this kind of a box here. This box has what you've already graphed, and it's called it Series 1, but it's not Series 1. We're going to rename it, so we're going to give it a name. And since that was part 2, that is magnesium plus 1.5 molar hydrochloric acid. And then just click OK. And then now you have it properly labeled here, and that'll show up later for you. So I want you to put these two reactions on the same graph. So you're going to add a series. The series you're going to add first is the citric acid plus, you can just put baking soda. Okay, so you just can type that in, citric acid plus baking soda. And then for the X values, the X values are the time intervals. So click on this little box right here for the X values. If you click it, then you can go over and select time for that reaction. Then you go back and click the box again, and it'll have it listed there. And then the Y values are going to be your temperature. As time progressed, temperature changed. So you click on that little box again, and you select the temperatures that go with your time. And you click OK. And then you can click OK again, like that. So now you have this part of your graph, and you can see you have your exothermic hydrochloric acid magnesium reaction, and you have an endothermic reaction with the citric acid and baking soda. If you'll click on your graphic, like here, you can go to your design tab. You can use quick layouts. If you do that, you can pick like quick layout 1, and it gives you your legend here telling you which reaction is which. So that's important. And then you have your graph, and I've usually would kind of make my graph a little bit bigger. Okay, then all you have to do is click, say, where chart title is, and then type in what it really is. So this will call figure 1, and this is temperature changes for endothermic and exothermic reactions. Your x-axis is time measured in seconds. So you just click there and type that. And your y-axis is temperature, and that is degrees Celsius. So you open your parentheses and insert symbol. There's my degree sign. And there you go. So, and then you can, manipulate this around as you need to, just to make it a little bit neater. When you're here, if you click on the grid lines and just delete them, they'll be out of your way. That's good for me. And so then I have figure 1, endothermic and exothermic reactions. So it visually shows when the citric acid and baking soda were mixed, hey, the temperature went down, So when the magnesium and hydrochloric acid were mixed, the temperature went up. So it's a good graphical, visual display of your data. Just to do that's enough for this one. Now, you don't have to do a whole new graph if you don't want to. You can repeat these same exact steps and just do it for part 2 and part 3. Or you can right click and copy this thing, and then paste it. Just paste the graph like that. Except now, I'm going to change it a little bit. First of all, I'm going to call it figure 2. And then this will be the effect of concentration on two exothermic reactions. So you're going to show this part. If so you're not doing the citric acid baking soda part anymore. So if you right click and select your data, if you click on the citric acid baking soda part and just remove it, you can add a new one. And this one is magnesium plus 3.0 molar hydrochloric acid. Now your X values for here are going to be in part 3. So you click the little box and select your X values, which is your time, and you select your Y values, which are your temperatures. And then you click OK and OK, like that. So now you have okay, I was trying to move my legend out of the way a little bit, and I just end up moving my whole graph, seems like. Okay, so you have your two reactions. You can see that with the 3 molar hydrochloric acid and the same amount of magnesium and the same volume of each of the two acids, just one of them is more concentrated, that there's a steeper slope for that one. The rate is different. So it just gives you a visual comparison of how quickly the temperature change occurred and the reaction progressed, compared to each other. So that'll give you two graphs, and you can use those graphs to discuss your data and do your data analysis. So again, use your data table, insert your temperatures, calculate your delta T's. That'll give you one part to talk about, and then construct your two graphs, and then you'll be able to talk about those as well. So that's what I expect you to do for each one of those, and if you have any questions, let me know.